Thank you. Thank you. It's really nice to be here. The reason I started out with the Apples movie, and it's something I talk about in the acknowledgments of the book, is just I wanted you guys to really have a full breadth of how lucky I was. My boss, Pete Souza, the photographer, was like, you should make a movie about the Apples and how they get into the Oval Office. And that's what I gave them, and everyone was okay with it. So, like, just an example of which I was indulged and that people were really open-minded to things. But this wasn't the primary thing that I was doing. What I was doing mostly is documenting candidate and then President Obama's backstage moments, his sort of authentic self off of the camera. And in that capacity, you know, I was able to be inside the bubble and to sort of document a lot of things that people normally don't get to see. And so before we dive into that, I just wanted to show you actually what that really means. It doesn't necessarily mean funny things about the Prime Minister of the Netherlands, who is no longer the Prime Minister of the Netherlands. So now I really worry about the future of the movie. You know, there's some factual inaccuracies. But let's show the highlight reel. This is like a blooper reel from my show, West Wing Week, which was a weekly wrap-up that details the president's activities that you can still see every Friday morning at whitehouse.gov. Yeah. Actually, that was an unfortunate week where he decided that was funny all week, the hand over the camera thing. And I actually had to be like, at some point, we're going to need to really film things. You know, other than this one gag, it's gonna get old. But that was my job. I was the guy behind the camera, kind of hanging out backstage, getting these moments that normally were unseen. And I think it's important to realize that ever since there was any kind of motion picture technology available, people have wanted to film the presidency. This is not a new thing. In fact, there was a fiction film that starred a scene with Grover Cleveland in 18, whatever that would have been. McKinley inauguration is on film. Like, people have wanted to apply film to presidency forever, but we just reached a point in time in 2008 when the technology was enough that one person, rather than, I would say, from the 60s onward, about 3 people, could actually do this work. And more importantly than that, I think it's a personality meeting technology moment. Like, for instance, when the 1960 election talks about the television election and JFK and how telegenic he was, and it's all true, but it's not to say that television hadn't already been a major important medium and, of course, hadn't already been used by several presidents beforehand. But he had this unique temperament and look that really spoke well to television. I think you have a similar thing with the internet and Barack Obama. Certainly other candidates and other people have tried to harness the power of the internet to what extent they could. But I think there's a reason why, say, will.i.am didn't make a music video about Howard Dean. It just wasn't, you know, it wouldn't quite be the same. And also, at the very, very heart of it, this is sort of a dangerous proposition, right? It seems very fun and happy, and oh my God, he's punching the Easter Bunny. But you have to remember that when you're applying this kind of thing to the presidency, nothing you ever film is erased. It's all subject to the Presidential Records Act. And so every scrap of everything, every time you say a swear because you're mad about something, it's all in there. And so I think at the very heart of it, the very thing you have to understand is that unless everyone from the senior advisors down to the candidate and then the president himself were in any way nervous about this, it just would have been shut down. The simple fact is that the #1 question people ask me, is he really like that? You know, in quotes, like that? What they're asking, is he really the same on and off camera? Turns out to be the case. This is just who the guy is. And I think that's why it's really hard to kind of throw him off or trying to, you know, you see a lot of this is a very negative campaign, right? And you see a lot of character assassination on both sides. And I think you see it not working on the president and his numbers remaining so stubbornly good because people have a very good handle on him. They feel like he's an authentic person. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that we present as much material of the president as we can, and always did, from the campaign all the way through. President Bachmann, should she have been elected, would most likely not have created the official White House videographer position. And in fact, I'm not sure that a President Romney would either. But I guess we'll see. So, you know, getting this stuff may be a function of the personality, and Barack Obama would be perfect for this, but actually putting it out was a little trickier. And so I actually want to show you something that probably hasn't been seen that much, but it is backstage footage from a few days after the announcement tour started. So this is like 2007, February, something like that. I think there's a date on the front of it, so embarrassingly enough, you'll be able to see what it is. Oh, was the 3rd or something? I don't know. But this is remarkably the same guy, other than the hair, that you see, and you sort of wonder what would change to have people want to release this stuff or not. So let's just take a look.
We got a second in here. So many people. Staff. So this is Reggie. Reggie played basketball and football for Duke. Actually tried out for the Dallas Cowboys.
And the Packers.
And the Packers. Concluded that he was better off in a political career because although this is a contact sport, you don't break bones in politics. So, Reggie, you have something to say to the camera?
This has been a great experience, and politics, unlike sports, you have a longer career. You still have to listen to people yell at you, and you still have to try to make everyone as happy as possible.
This is Paul Toos.
Played Division III football.
Played Division III football.
The Iowa campaign manager,
He is sort
and a
of
bit
our
of a
coach
Looney
here in
Tune.
Iowa, and has a similar temperament to Bill Purcell's.
What does that mean?
You know, he's a little grumpy, and you know, I think that's who Reggie was referring to when he talked about getting yelled at.
I've never yelled.
No, he actually keeps a low demeanor, but there's an edge to him, you know. Did you guys put this up specifically for me?
Yeah. Always the source.
That's about 9 o'clock at night when we do that tonight. 2 more meetings.
No whining. It's actually a pretty good philosophy. It sums up a lot.
No whining.
You could do worse than just living by the philosophy, no whining. You know?
It's contagious. So we're good meeting.
Give a warm Muscatine welcome to our next president, Senator Barack Obama.
And then, you know, you led to a situation of starting to accumulate enough of this footage that people were really starting to notice. Senior advisors all the way down. In fact, I remember talking to John Del Staccato recently, who he's the D in AKPD, so he's a political consultant, and he was saying that what had inspired him about this footage wasn't even the stuff that we had been shooting, but Senator Obama had recorded a direct-to-camera birthday message to a staffer, just, you know, because they weren't able to be on the trail, and he wanted to make sure that she knew he wanted that she should have a happy birthday. So hopefully she did, I don't know. But after seeing it, he was like, this is so cool and so authentic. I wonder if we could do videos like this, but somehow incorporating that backstage element into more traditional political media. And so the kind of hybrid of this plus a standard commercial ended up being like the Austin caucus spot, I believe is what it's written as. Yes. And we did tons of these because we liked this so much.
All right, we ready now?
Please welcome the next President of the United States, Barack Obama!
We've got a chance to make history on January 3rd. Be a part of it. Make sure to show up to caucus. Let's go change the world. Hey! Nice t-shirt.
You know, and the central premise of what I think about this stuff is that given enough time on camera, any person reveals who they really are. You know, and I think this is a great example of that. If you're kind of a dorky dad at heart, like, you will not be able to resist saying that to the girl. You just are programmed to do that, right? You're like, I'm going to make fun of your t-shirt. And so I think these things are real, and they're very endearing, and we kept it up through the campaign, filming all the stuff, putting it on the internet, and then tried to maintain that into the White House. But that's when things started to get a little rough. Because on the campaign, we had a lot of resources, a lot of technology, you know, famously celebrated. But coming to the White House, we're moving on to like Windows 95 machines. And I went, for instance, from having a staff of 6 to having a staff of 1, which is 6 times less, I think, if you did the math. I don't know exactly. And that's why I was never a Link for Commerce secretary. But I was then sort of not able to envision projects. And so what was happening? You like look at that first reel I showed you. I was accumulating all these awesome shots, the president punching the Easter Bunny, whatever, but I didn't have any way, I didn't have this kind of like, you know, 30-second campaign commercial venue to put this material out in. And so I just started sitting on more and more material and not having any way to release it. But that actually forced me to examine what